Fire. Something so elementary to human survival on Earth is scorching down lives. Massive bushfires have been burning in Australia for months now. 8 million hectares have already been destroyed by the flames. Since September, 25 people have been killed in this inferno. Millions of animals affected. Both humans and animals homeless. Entire regions left without power. And billowing smoke covers half of Australia. But devastating fires in the form of severe wildfires has increased in frequency around the world. Extreme heat, longer and intense periods of drought has increased the risk of wildfires everywhere. California, Amazon, Arctic fires around Serbia. 2019 saw it all. And the link between this devastating trend and climate change just grew stronger.
I'm Mousiki Acharya and welcome to this special report by India Today on Australian bushfires. Wildfires caused by lightning and sometimes accidentally by people are not uncommon, definitely not in Australia. The continent has always experienced wildfires. It even has its own fire season. So what's different about the bushfires this year? The scale is not normal. Australia has recorded one of its driest and hottest year on record in 2019. Temperatures have soared by 1.5 degrees Celsius, while the rain has been 40% below average.
Bushfires have wreaked havoc in Australia.
Imagine the scale of it. It's massive. Destruction.
Being in Australia for a number of years, as a citizen, we have lived through two massive bushfires. We were part of the local community when the black cider hit us back in 2009. We have seen the devastation, but this time around, the two fires, or three fires rather, came together and became a massive blaze. As an individual and part of the society, it feels traumatized to look and feel about the people and the wildlife being affected.
Australia is grappling with massive bushfires fueled by record-breaking temperatures and months of severe drought. Fires have burned more than 8.5 million hectares, destroying more than 1,800 houses. "24 people have died so far, and more than 1 billion animals are estimated to have been killed in this bushfire season."
The area that my friend lives had been affected by the bushfire, and as she was telling us the story, within the 10 minutes, generations of hard work burned into ashes. So you can probably, I get emotional even thinking about it. You're gonna, with us, we work hard. We work hard to build our lives, and seeing just your close friend lost everything in just 10 minutes is, pretty confronting. So
some videos captured by the firefighters show the massive scale of these fires, which have spread quickly and where two fires have combined mega blazes in certain areas. Experts have attributed the severe scale to hot, dry weather combined with prolonged drought and strong winds.
One or two of them tune into 100.5 FM for ABC Southeast Emergency.
Some of the most severely affected areas are in the southeast of the country, New South Wales, Victoria and South Australia.
There is a long way to go in what has been an unprecedented fire event, certainly so early on in the fire season, and of course we know that we have many weeks of the fire season to run.
Australia has recorded one of the driest and the hottest year on record in 2019. Hundreds of people have had to be evacuated in large parts of the regions affected by the fires, and more than 1,800 homes have been destroyed.
We please ask the community to once again acknowledge that if they are in a so-called red zone, in an area which we foresee will be coming under direct fire threat today, to either have made the decision to evacuate their homes or else taken safe shelter. And we please ask everybody to adhere to those messages today. And we're deeply grateful that thousands and thousands of people heard that message a few days ago when we had those terrible conditions and terrible fires come through the southern part of New South Wales and the south coast. And as a result, many lives were saved. And we ask everybody to heed those warnings again today.
But fighting bushfire is difficult. 40 degrees Celsius temperatures and strong winds have made it difficult for rescue workers. It has also led to another spike in fire warnings across the region. The fire has also singed Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison and his Conservative Liberal National Coalition government. Angry locals in areas devastated by the bushfire have blamed the government for not handling the situation well as being absent for too long. His government has come under strong criticism from its opponents and climate activists for not doing enough against climate change, Australia being one of the world's biggest per capita greenhouse gas emitters. Morrison has now announced more than $2 billion over 2 years to a new agency to coordinate a national response to rebuild communities and livelihoods following the deadly bushfire crisis.
As a government, as a nation, we extend our deepest sympathies to you, and we make this commitment to all Australians that we will be there for you during this immediate response, and we will be there for the rebuilding and the recovery. And today in Cabinet we have made a number of decisions to support that recovery effort, to do whatever it takes, to do whatever it costs, to meet those needs, to build our resilience for the future, and to enable Australians, wherever they are, all across the country, to be able to go forward in confidence for their future.
Even as the government works towards rehabilitating the communities affected by these bushfires, what is worse is that it is staring ahead to a very long fire season. In countryside Victoria, this is Mausiki Acharya for India Today. Australia's catastrophic bushfires have burned down more than 8.4 million hectares of land till now. And human lives aren't the only ones affected. Australia's fauna has been severely impacted too. It is difficult to determine by scientists how many animals have been killed. But the ecologists at the University of Sydney say that more than 1 billion animals, including insects, have been killed in New South Wales region alone.
Wildlife officials have now been forced to drop food for animals in wildfire-ravaged forests of New South Wales. The aerial food drops are expected to help the survival of endangered species like the wallabies in these burnt-out areas. Apocalyptic images of kangaroos and koalas fleeing flaming forests in Australia have gone viral on the internet. An eyewitness shared footage of dozens of kangaroos hopping up a smoky hill as the bushfire crisis continues in Australia. Social media has been flooded with videos of animals fleeing the fire. Some being rescued, others who have drifted in search of water. Australia's bushland is home to a range of indigenous fauna, including kangaroos, koalas, wallabies, possums and wombats. Officials fear that more than 30% of one koala colony on the country's northeast coast have been lost in recent fires. Authorities have no exact figure on how many native animals have been killed, but experts say it is likely to be in the millions.
Mates helping mates. That's what they say in Australia. Many Indian organizations have stepped up during this crisis to volunteer and help the displaced communities. They've been cooking round the clock, they've been providing free meals, donating and fundraising for the affected communities. And their efforts have not gone unnoticed.
It was New Year's Eve. Sunny Duggal had planned to take a holiday with his family when the bushfires started in Victoria. He cancelled his holiday plans when he learnt about how the bushfires had affected families in the region.
हम वहाँ पर पहुँचे तो ऐसा लगा कि कोई एक वॉर जोन है और वहाँ से उठ के लोग आए हैं और जो बचे हुए लोग हैं वो यहाँ एक शेल्टर ले रहे हैं। वो भाई कमल हैं हमारे, उनका इंडियन रेस्टोरेंट है देसी ग्रिल करके। उन्होंने जैसे ही पता चला कि ये सिचुएशन हो गई है, उन्होंने डिसाइड कर लिया कि अब यहाँ पर जो भी फायर अफेक्टेड होंगी कम्युनिटीज़ होंगी, जो भी एजेंसीज होंगी, हम उनको दिन रात उनकी सेवा करेंगे, खाना देंगे और किसी भी रूप में जो हमसे बन पाता है हम करेंगे।
The Indian family and the volunteers from the community spent hours cooking and delivering meals for emergency services and people displaced due to bushfires. The word spread and many from nearby towns too reached the restaurant in search of food.
He only sleeps maybe a couple of hours, 3 hours, 4 hours a day. Breakfast, he starts 3 a.m. in the morning, goes up to 6 a.m. for the breakfast. Then he goes for lunch. Then next he goes for evening tea. Then he goes for dinner. So he hasn't stopped. And he still today, right now as we speak, he's doing the same thing.
Another Indian, Aanchal and her family and friends have come together to stitch pouches for Joey's, the baby kangaroos.
अभी तक about 3 bushfires हम लोग देख चुके हैं यहाँ पे, और ये साल जो bushfires हुए उसकी कोई you can't imagine the scale of it. It's massive. Destruction ठीक है, जो घर जल गए हैं वो ठीक है, जो लाइफ जो लॉस हुआ है उसका हम कुछ नहीं कर सकते. एंड इट इज़ वेरी सैड कि इतना प्रिकॉशंस लेने के बाद भी कुछ लाइव्स वी लॉस्ट फ्यू लाइव्स. पर सबसे ज़्यादा व्हाट टचेस माय हार्ट इज़ द अमाउंट ऑफ वाइल्ड लाइफ वी हैव लॉस्ट. इट इज़ like more than 1.23 billion and you cannot imagine the scale of it.
Our superiors होते हैं who have pouches and they keep their young ones in their pouches. तो हम pouches बना रहे हैं so that जिनकी माएँ अब नहीं रख सकती अपने जोइस को, तो उनको गर्म रखने के लिए और उनको सेफ रखने के लिए pouches बना रहे हैं ताकि हम उन्हें across Australia भेज सकें और help कर सकें.
While the diaspora was out to help, for those living in the coastal town of Batemans Bay, bushfires on the New Year's Eve turned out to be horrifying.
Prepared, and we just went inside, packed up our passports, important documents, and just the bare necessities which we could think about, and then ran back to the car. In the meantime, in the time frame of around 15-20 minutes, the temperature had risen all the way up to 46 degrees Celsius.
The sky turned red on New Year's Eve as bushfires closed on this coastal town. The residents were instructed to immediately leave. The smoke affected the visibility and made it difficult to breathe.
You know, I got lost in that moving period because it was like on the signal. I can't see their cars because of the smoke. I can't see their numbers of the car plate number, and I got lost because they got moved by the signals and I was stuck there. And what I did, like I just moved to the evacuation center thinking that that's the most, safer places. As I told, like I was pregnant by 4 months and I got a 5-year-old kid. So I just wanted to make them safe more than me.
The rapid bushfires had blocked off the small town from all sides, leaving them with only one option.
A thick layer of smoke cloud covered our town, and at noontime it almost looked like a dark as night. Our town was under siege. We could not decide whether to leave or stay at home, as all our roads towards south, north and west were blocked or either closed because of fire.
The small Indian community in Bateman's Bay spent almost a week huddled inside a friend's apartment close to the beach.
5, 6, 7 days later, electricity comes back. Phone networks are restored in a lot of places, but we are still in a position where we don't know what can happen.
We are making sure that we all have our own bags packed. At any time if we need to evacuate, just evacuate.
Roger Federer, Serena Williams and Rafael Nadal will be playing an exhibition match to raise funds for relief efforts just 5 days before the Australian Open. Musician Elton John too has pledged to donate $1 million for communities affected in the bushfires.
There are people out there who've lost their lives trying to save homes. There are people who've lost their lives and their homes. And last year's the plight of the animals and loss of their habitat that frankly is on a biblical scale and heartbreaking. Therefore tonight I will be pledging $1 million to support the Bushfire Relief Fund.
The Australian wildfires are not a new phenomenon. Climate change and global warming have led to an increase in number of such wildfires over the years. According to the Global Forest Watch fires, the number of such wildfires worldwide were 1.71 million in 2001. It went up to 4.51 million in 2019.
The month of August 2019 was a real awakening for the world on the issue of climate emergency. The rainforests of the Amazon were engulfed in the worst fire ever, man-made and disastrous. The year 2019 saw 83% rise in forest fires in Brazil. Deforestation too rose by 67% in the first 7 months of 2019, as per the available reports. What has been unsettling about the Amazon fires is that while some were because of natural causes, most had been started by farmers and loggers clearing land for crops or grazing. While the fires burnt away forests that had been around from before human civilization, it did lead to massive protests by local inhabitants and environmentalists.
It's very sad to see everything that has been lost. There's nothing left to work with. Before, there was plenty to work with, but you go into the field now and even the animals, the birds have burned. There's nothing left. We lived off of all that.
Brazil deployed not just firefighting planes, but even their armed forces to douse the raging fire, and troops were deployed to take control of the situation as the Amazon burnt. The worst ever fire in the Amazon saw concerns spreading to different parts of the world, with many coming forward offering to help.
We also talked a lot about the climate crisis at this summit. People around the world are shocked and devastated to see the Amazon engulfed in flames. Minister Freeland has reached out to her counterparts in Brazil and Bolivia, and our government has been in touch with the Brazilian government to offer our support and to put an end to this crisis. Today, alongside other G7 countries, Canada is stepping up to fight the fires in the Amazon. Canada is offering to help by sending water bombers, as well as a financial contribution of $15 million.
Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro also came under fire for not containing the fire that burned so much of the Amazon. The allegations were brushed aside by many, stating that the realities of a developing economy had its own constraints and concerns. In October 2019, amidst bone-dry winds, California erupted in slow motion. Firefighters contained one fire and soon another would ignite. Though this season wasn't as bad for California as compared to the previous years. In 2019, 2 lakh acres of land burnt to 7,65,000 in 2018 and 5,25,000 acres in 2017.
It's not just an Australia problem. Look at the wildfires in California. Look at the hurricane damage in places like Florida. And it's a juxtaposition of different factors: economic development, politics, climate change. And I think this is a classic example of what's called the tragedy of the commons, meaning, say Australia was able to muster the political will to eliminate, all forms of global warming, right? Other countries would say, well, we probably can't do that right now. So it takes unified action, and unfortunately I think that will be quite difficult.
If compared side by side, this is the scale of world's biggest forest fires, the Australian bushfires, Amazon rainforest fires, and the Californian fires.
Support, wishes, prayers and donations have flown in from the international community. But the road to rehabilitation for Australia is going to be a long one. Thank you for watching. I'm Mausiki Acharya.